Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid, for the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. On December 1st, 1997, a boy, no longer little, told his friends to watch out, that he was going to do something really big the next day at school. Young Michael Carneal wrapped a shotgun and a rifle in a blanket and took them to school, passing them off as an art project he was working on. He also carried a loaded pistol in his backpack. That day, 22 years ago, he shot 8 classmates who had clustered for a prayer meeting. 3 died, and they were still children, almost. When Mr. Rogers heard about them, he said, "Oh, wouldn't the world be a different place if he had said, 'I'm going to do something really little tomorrow'?" Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers, was a Presbyterian minister, a television star, a specialist in child development, a songwriter, and a prophet. In Godly Play, we recite the role of a prophet. You probably know it by now, but a prophet is someone who comes so close to God, and God comes so close to them that they know what is important. Walter Brueggemann, an extraordinary Hebrew scholar, says, "The prophetic task in our time, as in ancient time, summons the communion of faith to make knowing and risky decisions between options of life and death." In other words, the prophet calls the people to act upon the important, because the important is always about life and death. Brueggemann goes on to say that today, as in biblical times, the prophet is fighting empire. And empire is always about force. It's a totalizing force. Today, as then, that empire is made up of 3 ideological components. That might have been Freudian. The ideology or idolatry of nationalism, the ideology or idolatry of market economy, and the ideology and idolatry of spiritual but not religious. The ideology of nationalism has become a gospel claim when we accept the lie and rhetoric of God and country. The ideology of market economies infiltrates our churches when we measure our growth, our church, by market ideas of growth. Or even worse, when we measure our lives by market growth and productivity. The spiritual but not religion mantra, according to Brueggemann, functions to declare freedom from any defining theological tradition. In other words, it is the ideology of religion without ultimate truth claims and without any expectations that our actions would be good, which ends in sort of a religious narcissism. These 3 twisted up views of the ideologies and idolatries create a political monologue which tends towards fascism, a pyramidic economy where the rich get richer and participants become consumers, and a one-dimensional religion that is absent of any critical edge. Consider, if you will, the prophet Jeremiah. He lived about 625 before the Common Era. He was active during the reigns of the last kings of Judah. They were Josiah, Jehoiakim, and Zedekiah. Jeremiah peered into the future and saw the destruction of Judah. What did Judah do wrong? Jeremiah 5 says it really plainly. Their tongue is a deadly arrow. With his mouth each speaks peaceably to his neighbor, but in his heat he plans ambush for them. They judge not with justice the cause of the fatherless. They do not defend the rights of the needy. And he says, your children have forsaken God, have sworn by those who are no gods. You hear it? A political monologue which speaks peace and plans ambush. A pyramidic economy where the poor get poorer. And a religious narcissism swearing by those things which are not God. So there is only one way to resist the totalizing force of empire. Brueggemann says that resistance arises from the bodily reality of suffering and exploitation. It is manifested in nonconformist conduct, and it is geared to specific human reality on the ground among those who have found the large universalizing claims of the imperial narrative to be false, toxic, and finally lethal. In other words, the suffering we share in empire shows us all that empire is false, toxic, and lethal. And that will embolden our nonconformist conduct outside the empire. Y'all, put it really plainly, the empire is defeated by neighborhoods. And let me tell you, it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. According to Amy Hollingsworth, who wrote the book called The Simple Faith of Mr. Rogers, Mr. Rogers' earliest prototype of a neighbor was an elderly woman who lived in his hometown. Everyone called her Mama Bell. Many times, 5-year-old Freddie Rogers, as he was called, would amble up her back porch steps looking for a snack. She would say, "Come for toast sticks, Freddie?" One day, Mama Bell asked Freddie if he would like to make the toast sticks himself. She showed him how to put the bread in the toaster. Let him slowly butter the toasted slice. Let him top it off with a dollop of jam. She even let him cut the bread into 4 long strips. Very soon after that, Mama Bell got sick and died. Mr. Rogers always wondered if somehow Mama Bell knew that she was dying, and she wanted Freddie to have this experience as a comfort for him, a reminder of their friendship, because Fred could always remember Mama Bell while he was making his own toast sticks. Aren't toast sticks a counterbalance to fascism? Don't they lead us to conversation rather than monologue? Aren't toast sticks the antidote of the all-encompassing market economy? And aren't toast sticks the opposite of bad religion? Don't they put the care back into the Christian ideals? Don't toast sticks honor the Creator, and that we slow down, care for one another, and get close to creation with fresh bread? And doesn't the relationship between Mama Bell and young Freddie counter the ideas of our worth being tied up in the economy? To counter the all-encompassing empire, the "I'm going to do something really big tomorrow," we really need the little of Toast Sticks and Mr. Rogers. He sang a song. How many of you grew up with Mr. Rogers? Oh, good. Good. Because he sang a song and I thought we'd try to sing it. Sing it along with me. It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood, a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Would you be mine? Would you be mine? It's a neighborly day in the neighborhood, a neighborly day for a beauty. Would you be mine? Could you be mine? I have always wanted to have a neighbor just like you. I